Hello, everyone. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
What's
All
up?
right. Welcome today to the Development Roadmap Review meeting for April, May, and June. That's Q2 of 2023. And I'm going to turn my face off because I can't look at myself while I'm talking. Okay, that's better. Right. I wanted to do a quick recap of our communication channels that we've got going on for everything regarding DonorPoint development. Our primary channel of communication, as you know, is help desk. Even if you send an email, it goes into the help desk, and we use that for tracking all of the issues and all of the requests from all of our clients for additional functionality. Since January 1st, we've gotten just shy of 200 tickets, and we have 8 of those that are currently open for monitoring or with pending action. So we're handling the tickets pretty well over the past 3 months. We've got some new communications channels that were introduced this year. The first being the development bulletin. Those are now coming out twice a month, and we've had 4 issues to date. They highlight new functionality and features in the platform, new resources that are available, and they provide how-tos for new and interesting things you can do. All of that how-to information is then shared into the documentation online, so that repository keeps growing. And every account user in the system gets a copy of that development bulletin. We also have a new communications tool, the email alert, and the resolved email that's basically the stand down, everything's cool email. We've needed to use that only once since the beginning of the year. And that alert is used to let you as a regular user of the platform know that there's an issue with availability, there's a service issue, or there's a payment processor issue. And again, those alerts are emailed to everybody with a user account. And our last development communications channel is this very meeting, the roadmap review, which is going to be done quarterly going forward. Boop. Boop. So what's a development roadmap? Well, many people see it as a giant Gantt chart with lots and lots of stripes showing things that are being developed and going on concurrently, and they wouldn't be wrong. But in the DonorPoint world, what a development roadmap is essentially a strategic plan. We identify needs, wants, and opportunities to do additional upgrades to the platform. That includes talking with our current clients and users, again, getting all those things through conversation, through emails, through help desk requests, and so forth, as well as monitoring and talking to people in the market and in our industry. All of those needs, wants, and opportunities are discussed and fleshed out, organized and prioritized to make some milestones, and then prototyped. Based on the prototype, we expand the specifications for each of those goals, create a timeline for development, and then start iterating, churning through the circle that basically says develop, test, document, develop, test, document, until it's ready to publish. That's what a development roadmap is, and that's what we're going to talk about for what's coming up in the next 3 months. Okay. I want to do a quick retrospective of what happened in the first 3 months of this year, January to March. Some of the platform milestones that were reached include deploying the volunteering module for volunteer management, implementing domain level suppression for mass emails. We did an awful lot of work on email rendering and the attachment of PDFs and other documents to emails to make sure that everything worked well across many, many email platforms. We implemented auction contact lists, standard merge tags for events and calendar invites. We improved the logic behind creating registrations, that's assignability. We added a way to customize the text associated with displaying fees on catalogs. And we also added campaign level control for login page templates. And these things might be some that you use frequently or some that you've never used before. So you may have seen some, you may not have seen some. Some of the ones that you probably definitely have not seen yet that have been done and developed and deployed include case insensitive usernames. This means that for new accounts that are created and canned via an upload, say of an employee file in a United Way context, those usernames can be entered in uppercase, in lowercase, whatever the employee does, and it will still be recognized appropriately. So that's an important one. We made lots of updates, especially over the past month, to our payment processor integrations. We've had several changes of payment processors, of the APIs they offer, and so forth. But this all boils down to the fact that for most of our payment processors now, partial refunds are back. Yay! The most significant, I think, platform milestone that was met during this quarter is the ability to templatize any type of engagement activity, whether it's giving, whether it's an auction, whether it's a raffle, any type of activity, and then publish it anywhere in the platform. This doesn't mean all the templates are ready to go. This means the underlying development code needed to support that is all there and thoroughly tested. So we've also had 2 resource milestones this quarter. We developed and deployed the engagement and demonstration portal. So you can go up and take a look at an example of pretty much every activity that we offer on a catalog and see examples of them working live. And we also have our online documentation, which is now being updated weekly. Okay, so that's what we've done from January to March. Going into April, we've got another set of goals. And this is what we're here to talk about today. The platform goals, or the goals around the software code itself, include email processes and lists, email messages and collections, i.e. those autoresponders, the import feature, reporting dashboards and analytics, single sign-on for our account users, implementing short message service or texting, and auditing, and a couple of new resource goals. I mentioned very briefly that we had developed the machinery to templatize things. Well, one of the resource goals is to actually deploy templates for you to use every day. And then the development of a live training schedule and the buildup of a training center using the recordings from all those live trainings. So let's jump in. All those platform goals. For mass email, Ron's favorite phrase is, Ron, say your favorite phrase.
Is that the common tasks should be obvious, uncommon tasks should be possible?
That's exactly the phrase. But that leads into, for mass emails, what we want to do is simplify and make things easier. We're going to be re-wizarding the assembly of a mass email, how you put together your to list, your from list, your email message, and get that scheduled. We want to do a lot of significant work consolidating the list structure. That's all of the lists that are developed of contacts who make engagement through the platform by signing up for an event, by giving a gift, whatnot, something that they have done that's created a record in the system. as well as lists that are uploaded from your own CRM system or lists that you've assembled from other places. All of those lists are workable. We want to make sure they work together better and share a more common structure that's easier to understand. We want to have the ability to save compound lists for future use. So the first time you assemble a list from many little sublists, you just save it. You don't have to worry about doing it new each time, and you don't have to do it in advance. And finally, we want to introduce the power of queries to be used as part of lists. Okay. For email messages and email collections, those autoresponders, we're taking a serious look at those over the next quarter to start aligning those to some of the best practices we've developed over the last several years. We're going to modernize the look of all of the out-of-the-box DonorPoint autoresponder sets. We're going to design them in Designer and make them look beautiful. And we're going to leverage merge codes to make all of those autoresponder messages dynamic. That includes buttons and hyperlinks that know exactly what to grab, so there's no question, to make it easy to go from an email and follow a call to action. We're going to use organizations and accounts related to the form, the campaign, or the catalog to know what information to pull for headers, footers, logos, and so forth. And we're going to make sure that the contact information comes in dynamically as well. Okay. We're going to eliminate making automatic copies every time you spin up a new form or a new campaign. You're not going to get a new blank set of autoresponders. You're going to have to select in the ones that you like and you know that work. We're going to develop template-specific email message sets. We talked a little bit about deploying templates as part of our resource goals. Well, each one of those templates has a separate set of email messages that supports the whole campaign effort. All of those are going to be packaged up and provided as autoresponder sets. We're also going to be providing some unlayer designer templates for common mass emails, things like newsletters, alerts, standard solicitations to your whole list, and calls to action. Some designerized, really beautiful templates that'll be easier for especially our smaller clients to jump in and start using right away. And with all of those email messages and email collections, those groups of emails, we're going to provide documentation, guidelines on how to clone and customize them when you have the need to do so. Because obviously out-of-the-box ones work great, but sometimes you want to get fancy, and we want to be able to support that as well. Okay. This is good news for those who live their lives by the import button. We're going to be doing some work on the importer mechanism, making the automatic column mapping much smarter, case insensitive, space insensitive, and so forth. Gives you options knowing what it's mapping to. And we're also going to be giving you some more granular control over the import behavior, both at the record level and the individual column level. That means being able to control explicitly when something new is being created, when something is being updated that already exists, or when something's being deleted or purged. Okay. Andrea, do I get a cheer?
Oh, wholeheartedly.
Okay. All right. For reporting, dashboards, and analytics, which is, all of the same cloth. The development work for the next quarter is going to be around getting more information to you in an easier to digest format. We're going to be formalizing the workplace campaign as a a defined type, so that all of the reporting benefits that come along with it, we can start leveraging. We're going to be developing some new standard dashboards for events, for auctions, and for the volunteering module. So when you spin up any of those things, you have a set of graphical dashboards you can go to right away to look at your data as your event is running and afterward for analysis. We're also going to spend a little time over the next quarter evangelizing UTM and Google Analytics 4.0. There's a new set of standards for GA, and we want to make sure that that information is available to you, and you know how you can leverage it with your DonorPoint campaigns. You might not use it right away, but we want to make sure the information is there for you, especially for your marketing teams. Okay. All right. The next big goal was single sign-on for our account users, but I wanted to stop and talk for just a minute about, well, what is single sign-on? Easiest way to say it, it's the best practice for cybersecurity. It's got benefits for both the user, the person who is doing the logging in, and the person who owns the system. So account users, like all of you, will have one login or one password. The one that you use to get onto your company system or your organization system is the same thing you're going to use to get into DonorPoint. You have nothing new to remember. For organizations, it brings much better access control, meaning that if you decide to leave, they don't have to shut you off in every system. They turn off your access just in the main system, and you lose access to each of the applications that also use that same system. It's a good thing, makes it easier to shut things down. For organizations, using single sign-on for as many applications as possible, especially those that contain personally identifiable information, like DonorPoint does for all of your donors and your contacts. It satisfies many of the requirements for financial audit and for cybersecurity insurance. These are things that right now, if you're not doing single sign-on and you're not doing multi-factor authentication, you're having a big trouble passing audits or getting your insurance. So this is a way to make that easier for you. So how does single sign-on work? Well, basically, it's just identifying anybody who tries to log in against a central identity access management system, an IAM. Some of the ones you might have heard of include Active Directory, Azure AD, Auth0, Okta, SecureAuth. All of those systems do the same thing using the same standard protocol, SAML 2.0. That's how they know how to communicate to one another and to applications that are using them for authentication. The setup of the IAM system may also include the addition of another layer of security where you'd have to provide a code or tap an OK on your phone to basically say, yep, it's definitely me. I'm holding my cell phone. I'm the one who asked to get it. Okay. So this is my joke for the entire session. I promise not to make any more. I am what I am, and that's all what I am. Okay. So DonorPoint has actually been offering single sign-on in the context of United Way workplace campaigns since 2019. This is not new technology. This is just something we're going to make sure is available on the account user side as well as the donor side. Okay. How it works, say you're sitting at your desk, you launch DonorPoint. DonorPoint says, oh, I need to find out if this person is legit. Sends off a message to the IAM system. The IAM system looks for the person, finds them, checks their permission, sends a ping back. the application checks the ping and says, yep, this person was found in the authentication system. I'm going to let him into DonorPoint. It's an easy circle, as long as you get that thumbs up from the IAM system. But what does this mean in DonorPoint? Are user account records for all of the staff going away? Nope. And the reason for that is those in-system user accounts are still needed to carry the role-based permissions and settings. Things like, I have full access to upload everything. I have advanced access to reporting. I have the ability to use Designer, those sort of permissions, as well as a record to carry all the contact information that's then used to merge into those dynamic email templates we were talking about, as well as all of the form templates. All right. So the accounts aren't going away. The only thing that's going away is your ability or your need to remember yet another password. Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit about short message service, or SMS. This is also text or texting or pop-up notifications, all those things that you get on your phone or your Apple Watch or your Fitbit that tell you what's going on in your world in 160 characters or less. Okay. SMS predates the internet. It's the lowest common denominator of text-based communication. It uses the cell network instead of the internet, obviously, since it's older. It's got a 160 character limit, and that means that long messages get chopped up automatically, and there are no images because the links to images are longer than 160 characters. Okay. Well, what does that mean in DonorPoint? In DonorPoint, SMS can be another engagement channel. It's perfect for short calls to action. Hey, your scheduled payment is going to process soon. Just wanted you to know. Your payment was declined. Did your credit card expire? Here's a link to go fix your expiration date. You've been outbid if you've got an auction running. Your event is coming up tomorrow. Parking is now in lot B for all volunteers. Or our event is canceled because of rain and bad weather because it's Ohio. Or a link to a DonorPoint form. It should be noted that short message service or texting is not the same as text to give. Text to give requires a payment processor that is able to charge your donation to your phone bill. That's how text to give traditionally works. And that's not something DonorPoint will be providing, but you can put a link out there to direct people to the DonorPoint platform and have them give through regular mobile. Any questions on that? Okay.
I understand the core concept really well. Is this going to involve new side tabs in DonorPoint? Is that where you would manage it from?
Right. Andrea, I can't hear you. Can you get closer?
Is this any better?
Yes.
Sorry. I was asking if you would manage that a la an email, like, you know, how you schedule emails in DonorPoint, would it be a similar management concept?
More than likely, yes. And it might be something that's done in this at the same time. There might be an email plus an equivalent text message version. Because you know, most emails now you can do a text only version of the email. Depending on how we implement it, we might be able to leverage some of that. But that brings me to the next point, which is we need to talk about it some more. And that's what's so important about getting everybody together in a meeting like this. What are your organization's use cases for using SMS? You know, other than the ones that we came up with that I went through, what other reasons can you think of where a quick text message to someone, a supporter, would be helpful? And Do you as an organization have any restrictions on how you're allowed to use text messaging? Are there rules, regulations, other systems that have to take precedence or anything like that that might impact what we do in DonorPoint? So this is a question that we're gonna call everybody together for a bigger discussion, just a big open, all right, anybody who has interest in SMS, let's get together and talk through. We want to really find out what those use cases are. So look for that coming up soon. Okay. And finally, the last goal for our platform development for this quarter is audit trail. And that leads to the question again, so what's an audit trail? Well, every change that you make within a computerized system, you need to be aware of who did it, what they did, and when they did it. And all of those different changes, those instances, constitute together a change log, a big long list of everything that's happened in the system. Well, within DonorPoint, we have very robust auditing already. However, we're going to add some more. We're going to add it to custom fields in the context of account standard and activity specific fields, who made changes to the definitions of those custom fields, where they were attached, all of that sort of thing, as well as adding change logs or audit trails to our segment, contact, and email lists. How were those assembled? How were they attached? All of that sort of thing. Okay. All right. So the poll is coming up. Does everybody have their cell phone ready? All right. Here are your instructions. Of the things that we just talked about, those 8 different goals, I put them roughly in order. Autoresponders, blast process, C for change logs, D for dashboards, E for engagement, F for I have no idea what, but it's the super users on SSO. Google Analytics is G, and more helpful H imports is H. You can choose up to 3. Enter a letter, hit return. So you're going to enter 3 different letters in 3 different messages for your poll. So go ahead.
We hit, after picking one, we hit send, or we hit
Yep.
return and send them all at once?
No, hit send.
Okay.
Yep. 1 letter in each message and it'll tally. You can have up to 3, but if you try and do 4, it'll stop you. Okay, everybody good? No, there's somebody else voting. Yay, keep going, keep going. I feel like I should be humming the Jeopardy music. Da 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 da. Dun 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 da 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 dum da dun 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 dun. Okay. All right. Anybody else have a last couple that they're doing? All right. Good. All righty, I'm going to deactivate the poll. And going to the next slide. There we go. I think our two winners, autoresponders, those email collections and text messaging, change logs, dashboards, Google Analytics 4.0 and imports. And coming up the rear, the upgraded eBlast process and getting account users onto SSO, no votes.
Nikki, don't forget, I don't know if you saw this, but add in Susan's comments. She wasn't able to get the poll to
Oh,
work.
oh, okay. Oh,
For
wait,
A,
here we go.
for A, B, and F when you do the final tabulation.
I will. Thank you. Thank you, Susan. And thanks for pointing it out, Ron. I had the chat window behind my poll window. All right. Let's take a look now at the resource goals that we have for the upcoming quarter, April, May, and June. DonorPoint templates, we've mentioned them a couple of times in the context of development done last year or last quarter and last year. But for a resource goal, what is this? Well, a DonorPoint template is basically a pull to inflate. You enter a few bits of information into a pop-up and press one button, and DonorPoint creates the activities or items that it needs to give you that new giving method or new activity. It sets your pricing and configures your parameters according to the type of activity that you selected. It creates any dynamic activity related contact lists. It assembles the appropriate mass emails needed and puts them into edit mode. It connects the appropriate set of autoresponders, template specific messages. And if needed, it creates a place to put it for display purposes, a place to publish it. It creates a new form or a new community campaign and lets you pick the template for one of those. It creates a new catalog in a new category, if appropriate, or it asks if you want to add it to an existing catalog in a new or existing category. That's something really new to the concept because we've been using templates in other contexts for a while, but the ability to layer on, you deploy a template for this, you deploy a template for that, you deploy a template for this other thing, and you layer them all into the same events catalog. That's amazing. So that's what we're doing with it. Pull to inflate. After the template is deployed and everything is on the system, there are still some things that you need to check and that you need to tidy up. So say I clicked create to make a free event and I filled in my pop-up and I put in a couple of dates and I selected where I wanted it to publish. Well, when that was all done by the system's going to send me an email, and that email will serve as a checklist of additional things that I need to do and review before this is ready for prime time for people to engage with. A simple checklist called the creation email that tells you all about how to finalize your template publishing. Okay, so that's one of the things that you have to look forward to. Okay, so what about templates? Well, they're used in community to spin up peer-to-peer and United Way workplace campaigns, and they've been doing that for about 5 years already. We already mentioned that development work was completed in late 2022 and early 2023 to expand the use of templatizing so that it can be used with both catalogs and forms. And we made it a lot smarter to be able to deploy additional things that are needed, like the emails and the contact lists. The proof of concept for all this was the ever popular cutest pet contest. And I think every client that DonorPoint has run at least one of these because they're so adorable. We've prototyped additional templates during this quarter, January to March, for the Scholastic raffle. This was sort of the worst case scenario. If you could make something super complex, but very defined and want to deploy it with a single click, could you make it happen? Well, yeah, we can. So Scholastic raffles now totally can. It's amazing. Free events, now you can deploy one of those in 15 seconds or less. Multi-tiered giving campaigns, those simple here, your several levels. Again, 15 to 20 seconds, you're deployed and have a beautiful way to engage with almost no additional work. We've identified a whole list of candidates to templatize. And let me drop something into the chat for you. Where's my chat window? All right, there's my chat window. And all right, I am dropping a message into the chat and sending it off. This is a PDF document that includes a list of 21 different templates that we've been asked for at DonorPoint, or came up with because people kept asking us how to do them. We'd love for you to look at this list and tell us what's missing, okay? That list of candidates, then we're going to narrow down and start configuring them. That's programming the template to do all the deployment work necessary. And again, just like the development model, you develop, you quality control, you document, or in this case, put together and test that finalizing email, and then keep doing it until it's beautiful. And when it's ready, we'll publish them as completed so you can start using them. Up on the screen, I've the same list that you have in PDF form is also up on the screen. A lot of these templates focus on events. The ones that are listed with an asterisk online or in bold on your PDF are ones that are already done. The others are ones that we're going to start building. They include everything from interest group events to paid events with free or paid guests, virtual events in a series or one time, hybrid events, galas, sponsorships, and accompanying sponsorship program books. Quick basket raffles, quick auctions, ones that can go on a single page or ones that need many, many categories. So 2 different ways to do auctions. The ever popular parking spot raffle and auction done by several of our United Way customers, but would be very handy for parochial schools, for parishes and so forth, who have parking lots that there are prime spots that people would like. And obviously the Scholastic raffle. Always popular, our cutest pet contests and easy, quick fundraisers that almost everybody does at one point or another. Card deck pools, you know, you have 52 of an item and you get a random one based on what deck you pull out of a deck of cards. And football squares, everybody's doing those, as well as a multi-level giving campaign. Everybody does one. It's the standard Giving Tuesday format. Opt-in forms and an opt-in frame for your public website to build up your mailing lists for newsletters is also another big area. So thinking of those, looking over the list at your leisure, what else would help your organization to have in a can ready to deploy with a single click? We're going to welcome your suggestions. Okay. Last list under our resource goals for this quarter, April, May, and June. Live webinars for training. We want to do 45-minute sessions, everything from basic level to experts, once or twice a month. We're going to record them and put them in an online repository so you can get to them anytime. We're going to add links to all those sessions to the appropriate online documentation and have a list of the sessions cross-referenced to the online documentation. So if you're a person who likes to watch and then read, you can get into it one way. And if you're a person who likes to go through the documentation and then when it starts getting fuzzy, go watch the details, you can do that as well. We're going to be starting these next month, and we have yet to decide on our first topic because guess what? There's a lot of them. All right. There are a lot of topics based around activities and ways to engage. The basics of using templates, the basics of giving forms, simple events, raffles, basket raffles, details of the more complex scholastic raffles, event fill-in forms and attachments, things that you need for class signups or for photo releases or medical forms for volunteer activities, elevated events, galas, auctions, favorite fun fundraisers, the volunteering module, and self-serve reporting, the basics of getting everything you need out of the system using the canned reports. There are a lot of topics that we came up with around emails, the basics of mass emails, the basics of lists, email messages and Designer, how to use it, how to leverage it, autoresponders and email collections, compound mailing lists, those include, exclude lists that are nice and complicated, but let you do anything you want. Importing segments and email lists, dynamic contact lists and how to define them, activity-related strategy for email, and list management strategy. You take all of those, you'll be able to do just about anything with your system. But if you want to take it up to the next level, there's a lot of super user topics as well. Catalog strategy and customization, merge tags, redirect URLs, social and QR codes, assignability, peer-to-peer configuration and content. And I think Josh is an expert at this now. Contact reconciliation, advanced pricing configuration options, the structure of organizations and funds. And for our United Way folks, that's everything you wanted to know about iGuide, but we're afraid to ask. Payment methods and payments, including how to refund them and to rejigger them when you need to. Relationships and work groups. Self-serve to ad hoc reporting. That's reporting 200 level. And then for specialists, the DonorPoint data model. How to be an amazing Kung Fu tester. Branding and styling options for forms and for emails. This is for the marketing team and their designers. Integration with Google Analytics and integration with your donor management system. That's more for the IT folks and the marketing folks. Building aggregator reports and building dashboards for the analysts and the crew. Access control for the IT team and IT and finance audits and everything you need to get out of DonorPoint to satisfy an advanced audit. Okay, so that's 42 topics that we came up with. And again, those are on your PDF list. Neil deGrasse Tyson would like you to look at that list and suggest some more. What else would be helpful to know? Okay. Cool. All right. Well, I am now on my very last slide. And you know what the very last slide means? It means thank you. And I'm going to ask you to take a 5-minute survey. I'm putting that up in the chat right now. And let me go turn that survey on. Activate it. All right. I'm going to leave the survey open for the next day. So you have some time to think about it and some time to look at those lists of templates and the list of, excuse me, of training topics. If you have any suggestions, there's a place to put those in the survey, and we'd be very, very grateful for your feedback. If you think of anything else that would be helpful after the survey or something that is only slightly aligned to this, remember, we love suggestions, and the help desk, help@donorpoint.com, is our primary means of development communication. So please send your emails there and we'll make sure they get in the queue. Any questions?
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
Is this survey where we would put the most valuable ones for us, or do you want us to communicate that just via email down the road after we've had a chance to look at it?
Either one will work fine.
Okay.
I hope this was helpful. And one of the questions on the survey, the last one, is how can we make it even more useful for you? So if you think of something that you really want to see as part of this format, let us know. Because we want to make this type of session as useful for you as possible, because we'd love to get everybody involved and make sure that everybody understands sort of where DonorPoint is going and what's coming down the pipe. Because the more input we get from you as the user who's actually deploying these things, publishing these things, and talking to your supporters on a regular basis, the better the product's going to be for everybody. All right.